Because right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Good evening, everyone. Bob Pompeani here, and this is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call, 7 nights a week. We're here taking your phone calls at 412-575-2600. Hit us up on Twitter at KDPomp, at The Pony Express. Andrew Fillipponi up in 93.7 The Fan. As today we saw the Pirates come up with a lineup that typically we don't see on a getaway day, even though they have a day off tomorrow. Maybe that's why. But the Pirates came away with a win over Cincinnati, and they needed it to win a series and jump ahead of them. And Pony, what a good performance by Luis Ortiz. They need good news like this from guys like that. He's once thought of as a guy who could be a member of the starting rotation, but he's mostly been a bullpen kind of guy. They had to use Majinski the other day, so that ruled him out. He probably would have started this game had he not been used, but Ortiz made the most of it, didn't he?
He did. And now what happens to him next? Does he stay in the rotation? Do they send him back into that long relief role? I mean, to me, the way he's pitched this year, I think he needs a bigger role. I think he needs bigger leverage situations, not just mop-up duty, which is not all he's done. You know, when he's been this guy in the bullpen games, it's almost been like he's a starter. He just doesn't pitch the top of the first inning or bottom of the first inning. He comes in the second or the third, then goes 5, sometimes 6 innings. But that was outstanding today, given the situation. These rubber match games, the Pirates have been terrible in them all year, Bob. They've lost so many, and a few of them it feels like they're not even really that concerned with winning with the lineups they put out there. And they scored a bunch of runs today, just like they did last night. And they got good starting pitching from an unexpected source.
Yeah, they certainly did, and it was good to see that, and they got the offense going. How about Rowdy Tellez now? We've all been riding him pretty hard, but they're using him more, and he seems to be gaining more confidence, and he hit a home run today after he stole a base, which was very rare the other night. But he's hitting .362 in June. Reynolds, and McCutchen, I would say, have been the heavy three in terms of doing the heavy lifting in the offense. McCutchen continues to do very well despite his age. Joins a list of Willie Stargers for most home runs in a season at the age of 37. But are you believing that Tellez is turned the corner, or is this just a little blurb in otherwise a bad season?
I've pushed first base down my list of priorities with the way he's played in June. That's not to say I'm not still looking at that position, but there are other things on my checklist. If Amanda gives me an errand list and a honey-do list of things that I need to do on a Saturday, I prioritize them. I rank them. Usually I save the worst one for last because I don't want to do it. In this case, you got to do the opposite and do the most important thing first if you're the Pirates. And first base, I've pushed down the list, Bob, because of the way he's hit. Center field would be a bigger thing for me. Even right field with the way Sawinski has played this year. I would put those two things ahead of first base, probably even a late inning reliever ahead of that with Bednar's injury and with the up and down pitching from Chapman this year, and these middle relievers have been so bad. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's problem solved. I think it's more of a Band-Aid. I don't think it's a long-term solution. But Tellez has hit so well lately, I would not be in a rush to take him out of the lineup, Bob.
Yeah, it makes me wish they hadn't made deals for guys like Ronzi Contreras, who's still very young, and they decided to move on from him. And also Hernandez, the left-hander, who I thought was really good for a Rule 5 guy, and yet they let those guys go, and then we see a bunch of these guys come up who haven't been able to get the job done. Switching real quick to the NBA draft, Bub Carrington becomes just the third Pitt Panther player ever to be taken as high as he was, behind Charles Smith and Steven Adams, and he was number 14, goes to the Wizards after they made a deal. What do you think of his NBA potential there, Andrew? He was really good as a freshman at Pitt. You can tell he had a lot of moxie for someone his age. How good could he be in the NBA?
I think he's got a chance to be really good because his game fits today's NBA in that these longer guards, these athletic guards like him, a guy that's 6'4", and can use his length and defend if he puts his mind to it and really concentrates on it and really makes that a focus and is a great distributor for shooters. I think those guys can have outstanding careers. So it all depends. I mean, so much of a player's development in his future is dependent on where he goes. Washington is a tough call for me because on one hand, they're so bad, they're so awful. Here is a chance to play for Bob Carrington right away. But on the other hand, Bob, they're awful for a reason. They make a lot of mistakes. They do a lot of dumb things. They've been largely an irrelevant franchise since Wes Unseld played there back in the 70s when you were still doing your Elvis impression. So that's my hang-up. Like, I'm really happy for Bub to go 14th, but I'm not thrilled with where he ends up, Bob, because Washington, it's kind of like getting drafted by the Browns in the NFL, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they have Jordan Poole, and they don't have much else, although I don't know how good or bad he is after he signed that big contract. Well, one thing we know that Zachary Rissache was the number 1 pick. He's from France. And I looked at this as kind of an average draft. One other thing we've been trying to figure out.
2 years in a row from France.
Right?
What are they doing in France? What are they putting in the water and the wine over there where they're making NBA players now?
When you got Wembanyama, that's as good as it gets. But anyway, there's still no Bronny James, last I checked. And a lot of people thought he might be one of these picks early on.
We know where he's going. He's going 55 to the Los Angeles Lakers to play with Daddy.
But they did not take him the first time. They went with Dalton Knecht.
No,
and
they made a good
him.
pick. I like Dalton Knecht.
This dude could be a really good NBA player, and I think Blake Hinson also has a chance.
And how about my Polish cousin, Fillippowski? Has he been picked yet?
I haven't seen his name.
My Polish relative?
Yeah, but I like him too. I don't know how well he can do. I know Zach Edey went number 9 overall, and I wonder about him to Memphis. Anyway, we've gone way over the boundaries here, so I got to take a break.
Walk it in Memphis, Bob. He's going to be doing a lot of that.
Yeah, 412-575-2600 is the number to call. We're live tonight on KDKA Plus and 93.7 The Fan, and we will be right back. All right, welcome back. Our GMC Sierra tweet of the night comes from CBS Sports College Basketball. Charles Smith, Steven Adams, and then Carlton Carrington. Bub goes 14th overall to Washington. And Sam Beckett on our Twitter line, at KD Pomp, at the Pony Express, says, Washington, the Pirates of the NBA. Then we have this one here from Mark the Shark on Twitter. He says, DeJuan Blair, one of the greatest draft steals in NBA draft history. And I may agree with that one. And then Charting Wealth on Twitter, and you can hit us up again at KD Pomp, at the Pony Express. Smith, Gore, Miller, Lane, great team, should have gone farther. That was a loaded team, Andrew, and I remember those days when they were playing at the Fitzgerald Fieldhouse, man. It was hard to beat Pitt on their home floor for sure.
Bob, who would you say is the greatest basketball player from Pitt in NBA history? I would say Billy Knight, which is going back quite a ways. He was a 3-time All-Star. And then who's next? Is it Charles Smith? It's probably Steven Adams, actually, given the career longevity.
And the money. The money. He's making over $100 million, and I think if I were Jamie Dixon back then, I would have used him a lot more than he did. And you had to know he was a chance of being a one and done, and Jamie never did that. He was treating him differently. He should have had more time in that one. As much respect as I have for Jamie Dixon, I thought he misused Steven Adams.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree with that. The thing about Bub Carrington that I wonder about is the shooting. I thought his three-point shot was inconsistent at Pitt. But I think what people saw in the workouts is that for his length and his size, his athleticism, he's so smooth with the basketball that they think the potential is there. If you look at this draft tonight, with very rare exception like Zach Edey, so many of these guys, Bob, are getting drafted off of potential and not production. What can they be one day, not what they are right now?
Yeah, and Zach Edey, production, yes. But in the NBA, I know you can't teach size, and he's got that, but I have not seen him do anything away from 5 feet from the basket. And that, if I'm them, I worry about that in Memphis. Although his role may be just to do that, they're going to have some tough matchups inside. There's some big guys in the NBA. I'm not necessarily bullish. I think Dalton Knecht may have a better future than Zach Edey.
I think Carrington, even though he was picked after him, has a better future. Look, it's not a big man's game anymore unless you can do a variety of things. Okay, so look at Jokic in Denver, for example. Look at Joel Embiid.
Wembanyama.
And the way he can move. Wembanyama, exactly. I watched Zach Edey. He's got tremendous touch, around the basket. He makes his free throws, but he doesn't move smoothly. He's a guy that kind of labors like an old-fashioned big man in the NBA from one end of the court to the other. And that kind of land of Giants basketball really doesn't exist in the NBA anymore. Maybe he's a throwback. Maybe he brings that game back and he becomes a matchup problem. But I don't know, Bob. Right now, I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't either. Let's go to the phone lines. It's 412-575-2600. Anthony in Greensburg joins us here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Go ahead, Anthony.
Hey, guys. How you doing tonight? Hey, quick question for you as far as the Pirates go. Now, I'm not real confident in Ben Cherington or Derek Shelton, but what about going out and getting a Jacob Stallings or a Sterling Marte? I mean, these are going to cost you a ton of money. Yeah, exactly.
Listen, I don't know what they're going to do. I want a bigger move than that, quite frankly. Yeah, they took 2 or 3 from Cincinnati. Cincinnati is just like Pittsburgh. They have a lot of warts. These teams, the Pirates are still 2.5 out of the third wild card. They got bigger.
Well, give me a bigger name. Give me a big fish, Bob. Doesn't have to play for the Marlins, but give me a bigger fish.
I don't know how this is going to play out, but a guy like Guerrero in Toronto, Vladimir Guerrero, a bat, somebody who I can pay a lot of money to right now. It's out of my comfort zone, but I would rather have somebody like that who can ignite the middle of my lineup. You're talking about Jacob Stallings. You may not get much out of him. Josh Bell, 8 home runs only. He's gone into a bit of a funk, adding 233. I want somebody who's going to make a significant, if I'm going to do this, I want a significant difference. That's all I'm saying.
Well, who are the guys that would bring back that significant player, though? Would you put Luis Ortiz in one of those trades now?
I would put guys in my system who still are looked at as very good prospects. The time has come to use them.
And who are those guys at this point? Because Tamar Johnson's hitting
yeah, but a lot of people still believe in his
poorly.
upside. I understand that. But you have some pitchers who've done well lately, Harrington, Chandler among them. At some point, you'd have to give up 1 or 2 and not be afraid to do it. I know why they want to keep them and stockpile them, but at some point, use them to try to help now. Again, the Skeens window is only open for so long, realistically, so I would try to take advantage.
Yeah, so would I. Guerrero Jr. I think would be, huge because the power is there. Now, he's been inconsistent. One of the reasons why Toronto has struggled this year is because he has not lived up to his billing as a great power hitter. But still, based on what the Pirates have, he would be a significant upgrade. Now, he wouldn't be a significant upgrade over what Tellez has done in June. But if I had to bet on a guy over the next 80 games of the regular season, I'm with you. I'd bet on Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to do it. But I don't know. I mean, I don't think they do Jacob Stallings because you've got Davis, Grandal, and DeLay. And I think to varying degrees they like all 3 guys, Bob. So I don't think they're going to push any of them out for a rental catcher at this point, unless that guy is a really good player. And
right.
Stallings has hit much better this year than I thought he would in Colorado.
Give him credit for that, absolutely. Let's go to Chuck in Uniontown. Hello, Chuck. How are you this evening?
Yeah.
Chuck.
Yeah.
Go right ahead, sir.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised they pulled that series out in Cincinnati. The next 13 games, they just got the Braves in there, the Cardinals, the Mets, the Brewers. Do you think if they go 9-4 in those games, with heavy emphasis in winning the series against the Cardinals and the Brewers?
Yeah, I mean, the Braves are going to be tough there, Chuck, to start this weekend. The Pirates lined up against them pretty well, but they're going to see the Pirates' heavy artillery on the mound, Andrew. I think this is going to be a very good test for them this weekend. Although Atlanta is missing a couple of good pieces, although Austin Riley is back in their lineup. That's a tough place to play, and I'm going to be interested to see Jones and Skeens in that series.
Well, do we know for sure that Skeens is going to pitch in that series? Have they announced what they're doing yet?
I'm assuming they will, though. I mean, wouldn't it make sense to pitch him on Sunday?
They said you'd say that, but they're saying they're going to get guys extra days, and I think Martin Perez is going to get airmailed into that series somewhere based on some of the things they put out there. So does a guy get pushed back? Could we see Jones, Perez, and Falter, and then Skeens pitches when they come back in Pittsburgh and they try to sneak him an extra day, Bob? I think that's absolutely – I mean, maybe they've announced the rotation and I just missed it. But I don't think that's out of the question given what they've said about trying to find these guys extra days of rest.
No, you would be right, but I also would love to see him play down there against the Braves in that place and see what he can do. It'd be a good experience for all of them. We got to take a break here. We'll come back with more. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call right here live on KDKA Plus and 93.7 The Fan. Meanwhile, if you're a Brandon Ayuk to Pittsburgh supporter and you think that could play out, you got maybe some bad news today. Tom Pelissero and a lot of people were saying they had a meeting out there, Andrew, and that it went well, and that Ayuk claims, I guess, he never demanded a trade. So this continues to be one of those stories that I have a feeling is going to keep going through training camp, and we'll find out how it ends. It may not be him. It may be Deebo Samuel who ends up being on the move. Who knows? They got a lot of money invested in wide receivers. They're going to have to spend more.
Yeah, and if that doesn't work out for the Steelers, meaning both of those guys find a way to make it work in San Francisco this fall, where do the Steelers go for a number 2 wide receiver? Is it someone on the roster? I have a hard time believing that. I think that they would still try to spring a trade with someone else. It's just now you have to change your expectations. And you're not going for an elite guy anymore. You're just going for an upgrade over what you have right now. Yeah,
but I still believe they need some help over there. We'll see. They got some guys.
So do I.
People who can come in and help a little bit. You know, Scotty Miller's had some big moments with Brady down there in Tampa. Van Jefferson profiles like a guy who can do that, but we haven't really seen it. I have the feeling that, a guy like Pat Freiermuth is going to emerge as somebody who's going to be targeted quite a bit.
Man, that's one thing you have not heard anything about, Bob, is Freiermuth's contract. Is he going to get a deal done before the season starts?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things they got to worry about. They try to figure out this Cam Hayward situation. And then looking ahead, you got all those young offensive linemen. If they take off and if Broderick Jones becomes really good this year at left tackle, I mean, down the road, you got to have some money invested in them too.
Yeah, but the cap's going up, Bob, and they've spent very little dollars on offense. They don't have the big quarterback contract, so it does make it easier.
Yeah, they don't have it yet, but if there's a good season by somebody, they may have to step up big money there too. So it's like a big jigsaw puzzle.
Goodbye,
Pony,
Bob.
Thanks very much. I appreciate it. We'll see you again tomorrow night. We hope we see you tomorrow night as well, right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Good night.